All right, welcome to Hannity on a busy Monday news night. Now, tonight, China's incursion over America's heartland is over for now, but not before a massive spy balloon from our #1 geopolitical foe was allowed to float slowly over all over North America now for 8 long days. But for some reason, at this hour, no tough words for Communist China coming from the Biden White House, just petty finger-pointing aimed at critics as Biden's cowardly, feckless response to this crisis continues to unfold in real time. How dangerous is this for our national security? We'll have a deep dive into that. Now, let us be clear, this balloon wasn't out for a joyride. China was collecting intelligence and absolutely testing your president and the U.S.'s response. Now, day after day went by, and any attempt to assure any of us that they didn't collect intel, frankly, is not credible to me. And is it not possible they had technology that maybe we don't know about? Oh, we stopped them from collecting intelligence. Do you know that for sure? I don't think anybody can answer that question honestly tonight. But America needs answers. It's about our national security. Why did Joe Biden fail to respond when he became aware of this incident? First, on Saturday, January 28th, the spy balloon flew over Alaska. Joe Biden did nothing. 2 days later, on Monday, January 30th, it was flying over Canada. Joe Biden continued to do nothing. By Tuesday of last week, China's eye in the sky while it crossed into U.S. airspace, now for the second time into northern Idaho, and again, nothing from your president. On Wednesday, February 1st, it was in Montana, hovering over our most sensitive military sites, including America's nuclear missile silos at Malmstrom Air Force Base. At one point, the Billings Airport had to be shut down because of the balloon overhead, and still by Thursday, the Biden administration had done absolutely nothing. Now, they claim they knew when the balloon was in Alaska, but the White House, they didn't inform we, the American people, about this incursion, or more importantly, even alert state governors or members of Congress until a photographer finally captured the balloon with his camera and then reported that to local media. And it appears that the plan from the White House was to kind of hide this extremely dangerous and serious incident, allow China to spy at their leisure, and then sweep it under the rug so as to not upset the CCP before Secretary Blinken's upcoming trip to Beijing. But once the American people looked up in the sky and discovered the truth, well, then Biden and his White House, they were forced to change course. Blinken's trip was postponed, not that it would have produced much anyway. The White House was finally forced to acknowledge the aircraft, but they claimed it was unable to shoot the balloon down because of the risks that were posed by potential falling debris. Now, that was a bold-faced lie as well. According to Montana Senator Steve Daines, this is what he said.
Look, I'm a fifth-generation Montanan, spent a lot of time canvassing the state. There are plenty of places we could have taken that balloon down.
There's a 7-mile debris field.
The biggest risk would have been hitting a cow, a prairie dog, or an antelope.
So you don't buy this at all?
No, this is called big sky country. They had a chance to take the shot. In fact, they needed to take that shot when it first crossed into U.S. airspace there in Montana. Remember, it's hovering over our ICBMs.
It was hovering over Alaska, and they knew it there, too. So why didn't Joe Biden take this balloon out at any one of these points? Now, 4 days earlier in the wilderness of Alaska, think about this, or 2 days earlier by working with our allies in Canada. You know, why was this balloon allowed to continue its journey all across the entire United States? Take a look at your screen. By Friday, February 3rd, it was spotted over Kansas, then it was spotted over Missouri, and then over Kentucky. And finally, by Saturday, it entered airspace over North Carolina, then South Carolina, where it was finally shot down off the coast near Myrtle Beach by an F-22 Raptor. Now, let this sink into you. Your President Joe Biden allowed the Communist Party of China to fly a surveillance balloon all over the U.S., multiple military bases, several airports, 150 nuclear silos, and maybe even your own house before downing the unmanned aircraft in the Atlantic Ocean. He said, well, I gave the order, but they weren't ready to do it yet. Really? Who's in charge, Joe? Are you the commander-in-chief or the generals in charge? According to the White House, yeah, it's no big deal. It also happened under Donald Trump. Let me give you a spoiler alert. That didn't happen under Donald Trump. It is an outright lie, but that did not stop the media mob from lapping it all up. MSDNC, here's fake news CNN, quote, did Trump have his own balloon issue? MSDNC, Republicans saw the Chinese surveillance balloon as a political winner until Donald Trump's record got in the way. And, of course, there was, lifelong Democrat wannabe journalist, fake Jake Tapper over at Fake News CNN, eagerly promoting his phony story. And meanwhile, you have former National Security Advisor John Bolton, not exactly a Trump lover. He's telling Fox News that he can say with 100% certainty no such balloon flights took place during his tenure. And he's not the only former official making this claim. We got Bolton, we got Mike Pompeo, Ratcliffe, the president himself, O'Brien, Esper, all said, no, this never happened. It was only briefly, which is total BS. Take a look.
The Department of Defense is claiming that there were 3 balloons, Chinese spy balloons, that entered the United States airspace during the Trump administration, and that they were not shot down and they were not disclosed. Can you please tell us the truth and if that's true?
Well, it's not true. I can refute it.
I don't ever recall somebody coming into my office or reading anything that the Chinese had a surveillance balloon above the United States.
Well, as far as I know, every Trump administration official who's been asked has said they didn't know anything about it.
And according to the Wall Street Journal, any prior balloon incursions under Trump, they were so brief, they went totally undetected until years later, and American intel agencies were able to piece together long after Donald Trump had left office. So how's he supposed to deal with the problem if he didn't know about the problem and nobody in his administration knew about the problem, if you even believe that? And I find those to be dubious claims myself. There are 2 completely different cases, even if you believe the liberal mob. In President Trump's case, nobody knew in real time. They put it together years later. On the other hand, Joe Biden knew about this balloon when it was in Alaska. And by the way, why are any giant spy balloons from China going undetected anyway? Now, let's not lose sight of the, forest through the trees here. The ruling government of China, it is evil. The CCP is interested in their own power, their own wealth, their own survival, and nothing else. They will lie, they will cheat, they will steal, they will kill if it benefits them in any way. Think of the human suffering caused by China right here in the U.S. Over 1 million dead from COVID. Yes, that was gain of function. And yes, that was coronavirus. And yes, sadly, it's likely your tax dollars may have gone to help that research, a disease they unleashed to the world. The most telling thing is, remember, in the early days of COVID, if you lived in Wuhan province in China, you were not allowed to fly to any other place in China, nowhere. But if you lived outside, and if you lived outside of Wuhan and you were in China, you couldn't fly to Wuhan. But if you were in Wuhan and wanted to fly abroad, no problem. That was their travel ban, long before Donald Trump's travel ban. And meanwhile, hundreds of thousands of dead from Chinese-made fentanyl that pours into our border every single day. What's Joe Biden saying to the Chinese president about that? No one pollutes more than China. They fill our oceans with plastic, our air with smoke. They also steal our technology. Intellectual property theft is off the charts. They spy on our citizens. They threaten our allies. They suppress even the minority Uyghurs. And now they're threatening Taiwan. They're flying surveillance balloons over the continental United States. And then when we shoot it down 8 days later over our territory, they have the gall to threaten us, and yet your President Joe Biden is doing nothing but patting himself on the back. How does that make sense? Why is he still allowing the communist Chinese to buy up thousands and thousands of acres? Look at this, of farmland and ranch land all over the U.S., including near military bases like Grand Forks Air Force Base in North Dakota, according to CNBC. And Maelstrom Air Base in Montana, and Laughlin Air Base in Texas, all according to Fox News. They're still operating TikTok, a Chinese-based app that many believe is used to spy on us. They're still apparently operating at least one other balloon, this one in South America. So you have to ask this. Is Biden compromised, or is he just pathetic, spineless, and absolutely clueless as to the danger here? Now more than ever, we need to know exactly what business dealings the Biden family has had with China. How much money, if any, did the Biden family make? Did they make zero? Did they make billions? Did they do million-dollar deals, billion-dollar deals? And more importantly, we need a commander-in-chief who will do what it takes to protect we, the American people, and our sovereignty. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.